Okay, everybody, cue spoon and music in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody, to the SpewnedIt Podcast. My name, of course, is Jensen Anderson. This is my great friend, Joel Brown. Joel, how are you today?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a long day. It was classic English weather, which was just rubbish to say the least. But England are playing in the football tonight, and so I'm hopeful, but I'm not getting my hopes too high. But all in all, I'm doing all right, man. How are you?
Doing well. My family had a bit of an emotional week. Long story, but short story is, I just want to say to all of our listeners out there, take the time to say to your loved ones, I love you. Don't wait. I'm sure Joel can relate to this. Just don't leave anything unsaid,
100%.
and be grateful for the time you have with them, because you never know when's going to end. I don't say that to be morbid. I just say that to appreciate the life we have and the people that we get to live it with. So with that out of the way,
Absolutely.
let's get right into this week's episode, which is going to be a fun one, Joel.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to play a game called Two Truths and a Lie with travel stories from our time in Uganda, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So basically, the way this game works is you say 3 things that have happened to you, and 2 of them are going to be real things that have happened to you. One of them is going to be a lie. The goal is to trick the person guessing and try to make them believe your lie and say that one of the things that is truth was a lie. That was a terrible way of explaining that. Basically, you want to have the most outrageous truths you can think of, and then perhaps a lie that's just believable enough. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. Joel, you have prepared some perhaps true, perhaps not statements for me, and I will try to suss out which one of them is the lie. Take it away.
Exactly. I mean, I suppose I was going to say we'll never know. Actually, we will know in probably about
Just a moment.
45 seconds when Jensen guesses. But it was tough because I was like, Jensen, he's going to know a lot of what I've done, so I'm going to need to do a little bit more digging. Of course, Jensen hasn't seen these, so I've had a look at these and I'm thinking, right, what can I get for Jensen? So Jensen, my 3 things that I may or may not have done are, I have stood 2 feet away from a rhino.
Lie.
I've also nearly crashed into an elephant, and I've gotten bitten by a snake. What are your first thoughts? What's going through that mind? What are you thinking?
Okay, so you said stood 2 feet from a rhino.
Yep.
Nearly crashed into an elephant.
Nearly crashed into an elephant.
And got bitten by a snake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so immediately, nearly crashed into an elephant sounds fairly believable to me. I've been on safari. They can get very close. I could certainly see an elephant kind of coming out of the brush and maybe a bit of a swerve out of the way. That seems very believable to me. 2 feet from a rhino, very endangered species. Could be true. 2 feet is incredibly close. So I could see that being a lie just based on the distance. I could see perhaps, 15 feet away, something like that. You could just really on a technicality there, which is a good way to play the game. And got bitten by a snake. To my knowledge, that did not happen. I feel like I would know. But we did encounter.
I don't tell you everything. I don't tell you everything, Jensen. I know it's a shock.
Bollocks. Okay, all right. I'm gonna say, bitten by a snake didn't happen. I know we have killed a snake together. We have been in the very close proximity. I remember one time your sister was riding her bicycle, hit a tree, and a snake fell on top of her bike. That was crazy.
What a story that is. Yeah.
But I don't think you were ever bitten by a snake.
No. Well, funnily enough, you of course, absolutely, you're 100% right. I did not get bitten by a snake. There were a few times where it was very, very close. But I mean, there was one time like I stepped on the tail of a snake and it like flipping came around my ankle. Fortunately, just missed. But yeah, so I mean, obviously that the nearly crashed into an elephant, like you said, gents. You've been on safari. People that out there that have been on safari, if you haven't, please do at some point when we're actually allowed to fly around the world, because they are incredible. There's nothing like them at all. They are amazing. And yeah, basically we were trying to get somewhere I think we were getting to a ferry that we had to cross over because obviously like the daylight was going, we needed to move. And so we're speeding through this, and our driver, funnily, I mean, what a great guy. His name was Clever, right? This was his name. What a guy. Loved him. Brilliant man. Brilliant man. So we're driving, we're swerving, and it's gotten to the point where the grass is like flipping, like the overgrowth is like that, right? It's really tall, just about as tall, if not taller than the car. So we're having to follow this winding route. It was amazing, very scary. We get to this bit where there was a little bit more of a bend, followed by a little bit more of a straight, followed by a bend. So we're pelting it down it at this point. Come to the bend, face to face with one of the biggest African elephants I've ever seen in my entire life, right? Anya's sitting in the middle. For some reason, she doesn't have her seatbelt on. Clever slams on the brakes. She flies through, nearly ends up like in the middle of like where the driver and my dad were sitting at the time, just on that middle panel.
Yeah.
Clever chucks the car into reverse, and we have to go back. Fortunately, the elephant chilled out relatively quickly. Obviously, an amazing experience. Very, very scary. Standing 2 feet from a rhino as well. So it turns out that in Uganda, they've got like a rhino sanctuary. Amazing place. Basically, they look... You have, haven't you? They look after the rhinos, and they take care of them. And I mean, it's an amazing place. And there are these tours that they do, and you get to stand incredibly close to these amazing beasts. Now, 2 feet. No word of a lie, it was 2 feet. Fortunately, and the reason why probably we could get that close is there was a light bush. No protection at all. A light bush. We could see through. The rhino was right there. You know, if I'd sort of stuck my hand out and taken one step, I would have been touching the right. Amazing, right? The pure heftiness of these things is something to behold. An amazing experience, and that I will never forget. Very, very scary, but fortunately did happen. Now, gents, let's not waste any time because you've done a similar thing. So you prepared rather 3 things that you may or may not have done. I haven't seen these. So let's get straight into it. Tell me what you've got for us today.
Okay. While in Uganda, I knocked out a rabbit, got hit by a motorcycle, and fed a wild lion.
Okay. So you said knocked out a rabbit.
Yep. Went
rafting on the Nile. Was this whitewater rafting as well?
Hit by a motorcycle. I've swapped it.
Sorry. Knocked a rabbit, hit by a motorcycle.
Yep.
And fed a wild lion.
Right.
Okay. See, I don't know how many questions we can ask about this, but
take me
when
through
you
your
say
thought process.
So I'm thinking like fed a lion. I can imagine that. You know, I imagine you've got a few people looking after you. They kind of, they give you some sort of very safe way to feed the lion. I can imagine that. When you say, like, I mean, you got hit by a motorcycle, crazy things happen in Uganda. Crazy things happen in Uganda. I'm pretty sure I nearly got hit by a motorcycle. I can imagine that. When you say knocked out a rabbit, so did you hit it or like what happened? That's the question for me.
It hit me.
And it knocked itself out.
Right.
Calves of steel, Jensen, is what you're trying to say here now. Is it? I just
Pretty
ran
much.
into you and it just went boom.
That's what I'm
saying. Okay. So we got knocked out, right? Hit by a motorcycle, fed a wild lion. I mean, I hope first and foremost that you were okay when and if you got hit by the motorcycle. Funnily enough, I don't. I mean, there are a few of these that I don't remember hearing about. What I'm going to go with, I'm pretty sure that you have knocked out a rabbit before, right? Like I'm pretty sure you have done that. Being hit by a motorbike. Yeah, again, I can imagine that. Feeding a lion, again, I can imagine that. So what I'm actually going to say, I'm going to twist this here. I'm going to say that you haven't knocked out a rabbit because I feel like surely I would have heard that before. You would have told me about that. I think that's the lie.
That is a truth. The lie is that I have not fed a wild lion. I think you are absolutely not allowed to do that. at all. um, so the rabbit story is a great one. We used to go jogging in the morning, and I would have my dog out with me. There'd usually be a few of us out jogging in the farm area behind our house. And my dog is just a fiend. She owned the territory. She would roam free, and she was just the queen of that land. And she was just sprinting around, just having the time of her life, basically, in the morning, running around with us. And I see her sprint past me like a flash as I'm just jogging on the path. And then all of a sudden, maybe 30 seconds later, I just get hit by something right in my thigh. And it's just boom, and I kind of keel over a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, what was that? Look over, there's a rabbit on the side of the path, knocked itself out cold. My dog comes sprinting past me, again, just moving at the speed of light, sprints past me, stops 20 yards that way, starts looking around for the rabbit. I'm looking at what the heck? The rabbit gets up, sprints off the other direction after being knocked out cold for a few seconds, and I'm just left lying there on the side of the path what in the world is going on?
What on earth just happened?
It was so bizarre. It was so funny though. Yeah, so rabbit knocked itself out cold on my rock hard thigh,
Rock hard thighs, man, that's what it's
steel.
about.
And
what it's about.
Hit by a motorcycle. I'm pretty sure you were riding your bike behind me, maybe in front, but it was so the main road that ran in between the primary and secondary site, obviously people go cruising on that road at ridiculous speeds for what is essentially a residential area. A dirt road, basically one lane too. And there was a ditch on either side of the road for the water drain off, right? And we would ride through one of the ditches. It was just kind of a little dip. And so I was riding my bike. We were going from the primary to the secondary. I was going through that little dip, and some motorcycle guy I hadn't seen, he hadn't seen me, came and was just coming on the right side of the road, hit my back tire. Bike basically spun out from underneath me, and I was kind of just left standing there on the road while my bike spun away. Motorcycle guy kind of veered off, didn't hurt himself or anything, but just literally knocked my bike out from under me, and I'm just left standing there, totally unhurt, totally fine, but just kind of in a daze, what in the heck just happened? So that was that. Fed a wild lion, never happened. I did come within, I would say, 15 yards of one. We were off-road on the safari. We saw them just kind of chilling there, but I don't think you ever feed a wild lion. So that's the closest I've come to doing that. I chose it because it sounded believable enough, like you said, you could see in the right scenario, some people. Maybe
I've never been good at two truths and a lie. I've just never been able to get the hang of it. So fair play, gents, fair play. You get that one. I like that though. I like that though. Also, to be fair, if you're out there thinking, you know what, I could beat Joel and Jensen at this any day, please do comment in the video. Just chuck us 3, and I tell you what, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go on the podcast, and we'll see if we can make out your one line. Now, we've got basically something very exciting to tell you right now. In a few weeks' time, Jensen and I are going to be doing a special episode, and we need your help with this.
That's right. So we will be posting an Instagram poll on both of our pages that will be asking one very important question.
And we need you to tell us, basically, what is the one food that you could never, ever get enough of?
Now, you'll have a couple shots to reply to the poll. If you happen to miss it, it will be live right after this episode airs. And then after next week's episode as well, we will be announcing this again. And then in 2 weeks' time, we will be discussing your answers on the next episode of the SpewnedIt Podcast.
Very cool. So definitely looking forward to it. The Instagram accounts that you are looking for, mine is JoelieB_official. Obviously, we will tag these both in the video. And Jensen.Anderson for obviously Jensen, the man himself. And so, yeah, let us know what you think. We're really, really looking forward to this. And so, yeah, go follow those accounts. The first one will be going out with this episode.
Thanks in advance, and we will see you next time for our part 2 of our crazy travel stories.